You don't actually own your games anymore. You just access them. And one day, they can be taken away. Most of us don't read the terms of service. We just scroll to the bottom, click accept, and start playing. But hidden in those thousands of words is a legal reality that would have terrified a gamer in 1995. You aren't a buyer, you're a tenant. You are renting a digital apartment, and the landlord has a key to your front door. Today, we're talking about the silent death of ownership, digital versus physical. We're exploring whether convenience quietly killed our right to keep what we pay for. Is your library a legacy, or is it just a temporary permission slip? Take a deep breath, back up your data, press X to argue. Think back to the year 2004. Buying a game was a physical, tactile ritual. You went to the store, you felt the weight of the box, and you read the back cover on the car ride home. You'd devour the instruction manual, which back then was a work of art, before you even touched the controller. But the most important part wasn't the smell of new plastic or the colorful art. It was sovereignty. That disc was yours. It was an offline, independent piece of software. You could lend it to a friend without asking a server for permission. You could sell it at a local shop to fund your next adventure. You could put it in a shoebox, leave it in an attic for 30 years, and when you pulled it out, it would still work. No internet required, no login necessary, no server-side authentication to check if you still had the right to play the game you paid $60 for. This was the era of the product. You bought a finished thing, and that thing belonged to you until the end of time. Then, the world changed. Broadband speeds skyrocketed, and the industry saw an opportunity to cut out the middleman. The direct-to-consumer era began. For us, it felt like a miracle. No more driving to the mall, no more sold-out signs on launch day, no more noisy disk drives spinning at 5,000 revolutions per minute while you're trying to enjoy a quiet moment in a survival horror game. We got instant gratification, massive seasonal sales with 90% discounts, and a library that followed us from console to console. But for the corporations, this wasn't about convenience, it was about control. By moving us to digital storefronts, they killed the used game market, a multi-billion-dollar industry that developers never saw a cent from. They removed the cost of manufacturing, shipping, and storage. Most importantly, they moved from selling a product to selling a service. They didn't just change how we buy games, they changed the legal definition of what a purchase actually is. If you want to see the exact moment the world realized digital was a trap, look at PT, the playable teaser for a canceled Silent Hills project. When Konami pulled it from the PlayStation Store, it didn't just stop new people from downloading it. They tried to scrub it from the face of the earth. If you deleted it from your hard drive, it was gone. Forever. People started selling PS4s on eBay for thousands of dollars, just because they had PT installed. It was a digital ghost. It was the first time we realized that a company could reach into our machines and tell us, "You can't play this anymore." Since then, the list of delisted games has grown into a graveyard. The Crew, Spec Ops, The Line, Marvel's Avengers, Forza Horizon titles. Music licenses expire, brand deals end, or servers become too expensive to maintain. And when that happens, the buy button disappears, and sometimes the play button follows it into the void. Here's the uncomfortable truth. When you click buy on a digital storefront, you aren't actually buying a game. Legally, you're purchasing a non-transferable, revocable license to use the software. Think about that word, revocable. It means they can take it back. If your account gets banned, even if it's by mistake or because of a dispute with a different service, you can lose access to every single dollar you've spent over the last decade. If a store like the Wii Shop or the 360 Marketplace closes down, your ability to re-download your history is put on a countdown timer. We recently saw Sony and Discovery almost delete thousands of shows people had purchased because a licensing deal ended. They only backed down after a massive public outcry. But the precedent was set. The message was clear. Your digital library is built on sand, and the tide is coming in. And then we entered the era of the Netflix of gaming. Game Pass, PlayStation Plus, Ubisoft Plus, EA Play. On the surface, it's the greatest deal in history. For $15 a month, you get a buffet of 500 games. It's an unbeatable value, but it's the final step in the death of ownership. In a subscription model, you aren't even a tenant anymore. You're a tourist. When a game leaves the service, it's gone. You don't get to finish the final boss. You don't get to keep your save file in a way that matters. You are trained to view games as disposable content to be consumed and discarded, rather than art to be owned and preserved. We are trading our history for a monthly fee. If we stop paying, our entire gaming identity disappears. This isn't just about our wallets, it's about history. 87% of classic video games are critically endangered. They are not in print, they are not on digital stores, and they are legally trapped in a vacuum. Media physica, physical media, has become more than just a way to play. It's an act of cultural preservation. When a game is on a disc, it exists in the physical world. It can be archived. It can be studied by future generations. It doesn't rely on a server in California being turned on. Digital-only futures mean that the gatekeepers, the Sonys, the Microsofts, the Nintendos, get to decide what part of gaming history is worth keeping and what part is obsolete. If a game doesn't make enough money through microtransactions or subscriptions, it might just be allowed to die, and without physical copies, there is no way to bring it back. Digital won. The war is over. Over 80% of sales are now digital, and the newest consoles are being sold without disk drives. We traded our rights for the luxury of not having to stand up and change a disk. But something fundamental was lost. We traded permanence for convenience. We traded freedom for a buy button that actually means rent. So I ask you, when the servers eventually go dark, and they will, what will be left on your shelf? Would you rather have a library you can hold in your hands, or a collection of icons that could vanish while you sleep? Are digital games a trap? And what was the last game you bought that you know you'll still own in 20 years? Press X in the comments and let the argument begin. If you like real analysis, without filters and without fanboyism, subscribe and hit the bell. The next argument is already being prepared. I'll see you in the next video. Peace.